Hello everyone, welcome back to the Plague Knight Any Percent tutorial series.
So up next is the Iron Whale. The reason why we do this stage before Lost City is just because it works out better with the overworld movement. So if you want to do Lost City first for whatever reason, you can do that. It only loses about a second to overworld movement. So the thing about this stage is the underwater physics. So the way underwater works in this game is you are just more floaty, so you'll fall slower and you jump higher. That's all there is to it. Upcoming here we use a visual cue to line up for this room up here with the many tentacles. Because this room looks kinda hard, but with the visual cue it's really easy. So we'll show that off later. Also if you mess up that big tentacle room you lose about 5 seconds, so it's really crucial. Now down here I like to do one double jump, one jump to time the snail here. And now upcoming we have the 420 fish mini boss fight. We call this guy 420 fish because he likes to be so damn high. So the thing about this guy is he's random. He moves random, the fishes are random, everything's random. So we do a fight here where we go to the left of him, which basically makes us not have to deal with the fishes. You can also stay on the right of him, that way you won't be as messed up if he ever moves up and hits you like he did there. But pretty much all there is to this fight is just hope that you get a good random pattern and try to get as many bombs and bursts on his chest, which is his weak point. Now in this upcoming room, these rockets or missiles or whatever are on a global cycle for whatever reason. So I advise you to play it a bit slow because sometimes they might mess you up because you might be on a fast global cycle or something. Now you want to throw some bombs here and do this nice damage boost off the anchor. That is a bit precise, but if you practice it a bit it should be fine. And now for this room here, just stay on the missile for the 3 first pillars, and then for the 4th pillar you do a burst through it. You can pick the health here, I definitely advise you to do so, especially for the tonic, that will come in handy later. But feel free to skip it, it's not like you don't necessarily need it. And now for Treasure Knight fight, this guy is also really random. The one thing you want to avoid here is him hookshotting up to the ceiling. If he hookshots up to the ceiling, you will have a bad time, because that loses a bunch of time. But generally at the beginning you want to do a jump and a burst to get up there and dodge his first anchor attack, and then just try to chase him down with bombs. It's not too complicated.
I would say that the number one thing about Iron Whale is knowing where to and how to move through the stage, like where you're going to be doing your jumps and your bursts from, where you're going to be doing your flaps from, etc. All of that's going to be very crucial in making it through without taking a bunch of damage or having to slow down. So a very small trick in this room, after you make it past the dirt blocks with the crab, snail, whatever you want to call it, you're going to throw a bomb shortly after landing on these bubbles, and that's so that the bomb actually explodes before you have a chance to land on the bubbles below you. Bomb explosions will trigger the bubbles disappearing just as your feet will. Now this longer room is a good example of exactly knowing where you want to follow OddBod's jump and burst route. Jumping and bursting over that hermit crab will allow you to do a double jump and then do another burst directly on top of the next hermit crab. And this is one of the cleanest ways of getting through this room. And with a jump and burst into the next room, you're going to be really close to this purple duck knight. An added jump will carry you closer to him, and then you can burst in his face, double jump over him so you don't have to deal with him at all. You could damage boost through him if you needed to as a backup, but it's not necessary if you follow that setup. Now in this room, OddBod only bursts once and then casually just jumps over this ledge. You could burst twice, however that carries the risk of not being able to turn around before you would crash into the spiked wall. There's nothing particularly crazy going on in this room. However, in the next room, and the room leading after that, there's a couple of good setups you want to take note of. So first off, by bursting at the edge of this platform and then doing a double jump after this green coin, you'll usually manage to make it over. In fact, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't make it over that hermit crab without getting hit. Moving quickly enough, you should be able to walk underneath the eel and then burst jump onto these platforms right here. Burst and damage boost into the Gulper Mage And then right here, you're lining up Plague Knight's feet. This is the visual cue that OddBod was talking about. You want to have his left foot closer to the intersection of the last two bricks in the room. As you burst off of that spot, and there's a little bit of leniency, like you said. There's like a little bit of wiggle room that you have from bursting there that will get you through this room really easily. You're going to carry that momentum off the first burst, past the first tentacle, up to the second tentacle, where a eel will appear. Burst off of the second tentacle. This should bonk your head against the ceiling. Double jump to get over the third tentacle. Your burst should be coming back as you approach the fourth tentacle, which you'll then be able to burst through. You're going to toss a bomb at the fifth tentacle, and then as you approach the last tentacle, you're going to burst up to it and destroy it as well with bomb toss. From here, the following room, not too difficult. However, you do want to make sure that you have yourself kind of closer to the left. As you're making this screen transition, you can buffer a bomb toss, which should take out the first two tentacles, allowing you to bypass having to destroy the stone blocks. Recently, Explode found a way to get through this room by mistake, where he destroys the third tentacle. It's actually a little bit faster, although a little bit more difficult on the positioning in the previous room, and I'll drop a link to that in the description. Everyone has their own way of buffering through the next room. OddBod likes to do a double jump and then a regular jump before he moves past the hermit crab. But yeah, it's whatever you need to do. Like I do 4 jumps as Shovel Knight, which is roughly the same as Plague Knight. So now OddBod is coming up on the 420 fish, and you can throw a bomb at the top of the screen, or you can wait till you land, throw it directly on top of the chest, up to you. But let's go ahead and cover a couple of the things that will actually affect this section of the run a little bit more. As stated, and obviously, yeah, this is an underwater stage, that specifically affects your base jump, your double jump, and your fall speed. Your burst remains the same. This means you can basically maintain height with, frame perfect bursts. Even close, you'll maintain about the same height. Now, once the Tethalon approaches its final destination, you want to try and get into a position where you can burst the chest and move to the top left corner of the screen. This thing has 12 HP, and it can be very difficult to continually do that damage. It's lucky that you can actually hit the chest from behind. Barring that 420 fish doesn't move too much, you should be able to stay in a comfortable position to lob 12 shots at it before it makes it across the screen and wastes about 5 seconds. Directly below the checkpoint, there is a turkey if you really feel the need to heal at this point. In this next room, you could do a burst as OddBod does. However, alternatively, you can damage boost off of the manta ray by holding right as you climb the ladder. That way you won't have to worry about dodging the attacks from the hermit crabs. Next room, pretty simple stuff. Normally you'd be doing the Dirt Cloud skip, but Plague Knight's burst is just so good. You can do that without even having to worry about it. Now this room has missiles that are actually on global cycles, and what you can do in case you feel like one is going to slow you down, you can trigger its explosion as OddBod did by being in front of it and then burst, using that invincibility to keep you safe from its damage. This next room has a purple Duck Knight, and if you float really high up with your burst, then its anchor shouldn't hit you. Burst into a damage boost before it has a chance to lunge, so you only take half a heart of damage. And if you're quick enough, you shouldn't have to worry about the missile platform that's rising up and down, blocking your way. If you're looking for food, in that dirt pile to the left, there is a carrot. And then a burst should land you on top of these stone blocks before the anchors drop. Followed by the last trick in this room, where you're going to get really close to the last couple dirt blocks, throw 3 bombs to get them out of the way. The Duck Knight should throw an anchor, which would allow you to do a damage boost off of it into the exit. And then the end of the stage is very straightforward. You're going to burst through some dirt blocks, burst through the door, just so you can hit the screen transition at full speed. And then kind of like Shovel Knight, you're going to treat your bomb tosses like your shovel blade swings to clear out these last couple doors. And hold a burst to burst through the last door on the way out. And if at any point you miss the missile blows up, or you just drop off of it, you can burst through that entire section. It's just a little bit slower. I wouldn't say that Treasure Knight is necessarily a difficult fight. You can avoid a lot of the damage you would normally take throughout the encounter because you can just stay above so many of his attacks. Start the fight with a burst and toss a couple bombs at him. He is going to retract his anchors, so you should have an opportunity to throw a couple more bombs at him before he starts to move. This is where his movement can start to get a little bit random. You want to try and lob bombs either on him or in the direction that he's going to move in. He's always pretty much guaranteed to move in the direction he has more open space to move into. However, sometimes he'll pause and do attacks, or he'll just keep jumping around. And ultimately, he does have a chance to aim his anchor toward the ceiling, which would result in him obviously being at a difficult spot for you to deal damage to him. But more importantly, as you try and attack him up there, if you happen to kill him up there, it would take an eternity for him to hit the ground. Boss fanfare only ends when the boss and Plague Knight are on the ground with their feet planted. So if Treasure happens to die during this slowdown, for example, if he were at the top of the screen, he would be slowly falling to the bottom of the screen, and you want to avoid that at all costs. So again, we're going to cover the fight full speed. His attacks really aren't anything to worry about. So long as you can finish him off quickly, he shouldn't have a chance to treasure chest you. Burst, get 6 bomb tosses on him. Jump and toss 3 more to his left, then 6 more as you descend. He's to your right here, so react accordingly. Throw as many bombs in as you can, and then try to finish him off in the corner before he can throw his treasure chest. Treasure, really not a difficult boss to survive. Again, it's more about just being able to consistently predict where he's going to go. Fight him many times. The more practice you get, the better. Just to give you each time an idea of where he's going to try and go next. So that takes care of Iron Whale. We still have 1 stage left to go, which is the Lost City. And that'll help us wrap up World 2. Get a couple more map encounter randomness. But luckily it was patched out a while ago that Rees could potentially block your way. So until next time, thank you for watching and take care.